The Witcher 3, Blood and Wine.
Yeah.
Jim.
It's here.
Jiminy, Jim, Twinkler.
It's almost here. But yeah, I've played it. I've played quite a lot of it.
You played, yeah.
Yeah.
You were up all night with it.
I've kind of broke myself playing it.
Yeah.
But it's okay because it's really, really good.
That's a good sign, isn't it? When you're playing something until the small hours in the morning.
Yeah. And you kind of realise that, I've got to get up and do work and stuff. But it's one of those ones. It's it's great. It's more Witcher 3, obviously.
Yeah.
There are things that are subtly different, and then there are things that are substantially different. When compared to the base game. I'm going to talk about those now.
Well, there you go. Well, as I understand it, it's like a kind of, he's in his retirement.
Yeah, that's
Geralt, almost.
Almost, yeah. It's sort of what they're going for. I mean, I don't think... There's actually like there's conversations in the game with another character where Geralt is actually asked, do you even like being a Witcher?
Yeah.
And his answer is the player kind of chooses the gist of the answer.
Yeah.
But I mean, certainly the answer I chose to that was quite interesting in what he said, and he talked about how, there's things about it I like, there's, I like finding clues. I like tracking things. I like hitting things with a sword.
As you do.
Yeah. Kind of as his final adventure, it's kind of like an examination of him. That's one thing. There's a real kind of tonal shift. And I said this at the preview stage before, but that was the most striking thing about it is how tonally very different it is to the main game, because the main game is set in a very war-torn region, and it's just bleak and it's just shit and it's horrible. And then Geralt gets summoned to Toussaint, this sort of parody of medieval France. It's like a duchy.
So someone turns up at his shack or whatever, and he's like, we need, and then he's like, oh, too old for this shit, and then.
Essentially, yeah. It's like, oh, you've been summoned by the by our ruler or whatever. So off he goes.
2 days from retirement, and
but like the first thing you see when you get to the new region is like it's just this the color palette's different. It's brighter and it's got like this golden kind of sun-kissed look to everything. It fades up and there's like a glistening river and a pointy fucking medieval castle right in the middle of it. And it looks incredible and it looks clean, and like none of the rest of the Witcher 3 looks clean.
No, I remember those dead bodies and stuff everywhere.
Yeah, it's just dirty and shit and disease infested, and so he gets here and it's like spending weeks in Croydon and then waking up in Mayfair.
And he's like, oh, I could get used to this.
Yeah. Essentially, right? Because the concept of having a home is quite alien to a Witcher. I mean, they have a fortress, they've got a home, but they're nomadic, sort of mercenary monster killing people, and they just kind of they sleep outside and or they nap for an hour right before a boss battle to get the health bar back up. Go.
So what's the premise of the adventure that he's on then? What
there's a lot of things that are going on in Blood and Wine, and if anyone who's played the kind of base game will know how dense it is. And
give me the cliff notes. Like what's the jumping off point then? Why has he been summoned? Right.
He's been summoned because somebody is going around killing knights. Which is and they're very ritual killings. It's serial killings.
Oh, okay.
And they're like, well, we need a Witcher to sort this out.
I didn't realize. I was making jokes about him being like a grumpy old cop, but I guess it kind of is.
I mean, he basically is a grumpy old cop. Yeah. It's so far removed from the rest of the Witcher's world that a couple of murders can really send an aristocracy into a well panic. And, because we...
Well, and he's like, where I come from, people die every day.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, oh, heavens, to Betsy.
Pretty much. Okay. It's like, what, you've had 2 murders? Fucking call me. That's some real problems. But, so, and the thing about this society that have summoned him, they're all about chivalry, valor, honor, virtue. It's this sort of Disneyfied version of medieval knighthood. And it satirizes that. And it's so all this going on, and they speak with very flowery language, and they've got all these traditions, and somebody's blowing a fucking horn every 5 minutes, and Geralt's just kind of in the middle of it, just being like, you people are scum.
Does it have those bits where like you can choose to respect their customs, or you can just like
it's
stand there
got
putting your middle finger.
quite a few moments like that when, you know, like I think my favorite dialogue option in this one is just like say nothing. There's a bit where he's asked to bow, for example, and
he just stares.
He's just like, get to fuck. I'm not, you know,
but you can presumably choose to bow as well.
I think in that, but you can, or you just don't do anything.
But you said it's quite dense as well, so it's not just that. There's
it's very
more,
dense. Yeah. I mean that's the one thing, and that's the most obvious thing. That's the first thing that comes through, is that this is a world that Geralt is not from, and thinks is ridiculous, but probably kind of likes it, right? And ends up, like settling. He gets given a house. And he's like, oh, fine, I'll renovate it. He starts chucking money into it.
There you go.
Geralt gets right into the old, I'll buy a new bed. And you think, fuck, no, Geralt's got a bed now. That's because he usually just sleeps in the woods. So there's that. But then there's the main kind of story kind of goes down the route of vampirism and gets a lot
nice.
bleaker. So
they're sexy ladies that you can tell they're evil because they're sexy.
Yeah, basically. There's a couple of those.
That's my favourite trope in video games.
Yeah. I don't want to make it sound like it's tonally inconsistent, because they actually do a really good job of managing the kind of the bleak with the kind of jovial aspects of it, and they're very intertwined, and it's very black humor, a lot of it.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, the main story is it involves like old friends of Geralt and vampirism, and explores kind of the nature of vampirism and the nature of what people have to do to suppress, you know, the bad parts of themselves, I guess, and those kind of struggles, and that kind of feeds into Geralt's own struggles with what he does and who he is, right? So it's really, really clever, and I really love the way they've gone for telling stories that actually, they're ostensibly about, you know, vampires or this fucking ridiculous aristocracy or whatever, but it all seems to kind of look back to, well, this is actually an examination of Geralt. This is like, well, you know, we know what he is, but we don't necessarily know who he is, right?
But if like you don't necessarily need all that introspection of man and all that kind of shit, it's still fun, right?
It's still fun, yeah, and it's still there's new monsters, there's new weapons and armor and all that kind of crap, and there's really fun side quests as well. Like there's one that involves taking part in a tournament, where lots of really funny kind of jokey things happen, and it becomes a bit of like a carry-on film at one point. But also, even that kind of side quest has a very kind of harrowing, like, human story by the end of it. It's oh my god, fuck.
Well, it sounds like it's definitely a buy.
Yeah,
from you.
Oh,
but,
god,
and the $64,000 question, to which I already know the answer. Is how much is it?
It's like 16 quid or something. I
don't know. See, I think that's pretty good for a big.
It's really good value for money.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are afflicted by numbers equaling value, then it has numbers. You know, there's like 30 hours. I mean, they quote it as being about 30 hours.
That's shit. Like you get full games that are 60 quid with 30 hours. Honestly, so you know,
there is enough in here that if they released it separately and charged 50 quid for it, most people would be all right with it, because it's massive. So
you know,
it's really not a slouch on that front at all. But it's also the content itself is, I think it's the best that The Witcher's ever been. I really loved Witcher 3. There's a real kind of confidence about it, and it's really witty, and in ways that it's kind of been before, but not quite so accomplished. So,
well, there you go.
It's like the perfect send-off, basically.
There you go. Let's wrap that up then. That's a pretty good end, I think. There you go. The Witcher 3, Blood and Wine.
Yeah, play it.
Jim Trinker, buy.
Absolutely, play it, buy it. If you enjoyed that review and you want to know more about other RPG DLC, click on the left for our Fallout 4 Far Harbor review. Or if you're more into just gun violence, click on the right for our Doom review. And do remember to like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.